Welcome back to Special Educators Resource Room. I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning, and I'm here to talk about all of the things we all really want to say out loud, but sometimes don't, especially when it comes to making the lives of special educators feel easier. Today, we're tackling a topic that's been haunting teachers everywhere: data collection. Hey, special educators, I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning. Welcome to the Special Educators Resource Room. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to save time and streamline your work. That's why this podcast was created, to give you the systems and solutions you need to get your time back. Tune in for tips, tricks, and tools that will help you manage your workload and make the most of your time. Whether you're brand new or experienced, all are welcome in the Special Educators Resource Room. Today's episode is all about data collection, and it's a topic that was chosen by you. Whenever I send out a survey, which you graciously fill out, thank you, data collection always tops the list of topics that you'd like to hear more about. And I always think to myself, how can I help? I've already spoken about data tracking so many times in this podcast. I don't want to send you down a rabbit hole of listening to all of these podcast episodes and not taking action. So I'm going to highlight just 2 quick episodes, and I'll put the links in the show notes. The first is episode 82, which is the only data forms a special educator really needs. And the other is episode 98, which is when data collection isn't feeling very helpful. So what else can we say about data collection? Why does it continue to feel so hard? You know the drill. Binders filled with checklists, endless sticky notes, progress reports that are due, and all of those to-do lists. If you've ever found yourself wondering, am I even using all of this data? Then this episode is for you. And spoiler alert, the answer is probably no. And you're definitely not alone. So why are most of us taking too much data collection, and how can we fix it? Let's start with some real talk about data collection. If you're anything like me or any other teacher I've ever met, you've probably spent hours tracking, logging, and filing student data that no one ever looks at again. And can we just take a moment to acknowledge how much pressure there is to collect data on everything? It seems like we need to have proof of every second of your day to show evidence that you've been productive. Maybe it's from admin. Maybe it's parents asking for detailed updates. Maybe it's you, that little voice in your head saying, if I don't write this down, am I even doing my job? And here's the problem. When we try to track everything, we end up drowning in too much information. And teachers are already juggling way too many data points. Academic progress, behavior trends, social emotional growth, life skills, and it can feel impossible to focus on what actually matters. And let's be real, what happens to all of that data? I know for me, most of it would just sit in a binder, untouched, because I'm feeling too busy, too overwhelmed, or just plain too tired to analyze it. Does this sound familiar? One more hard truth. More data doesn't mean better teaching. It might just mean more paperwork. And guess what? Your students don't need you to be buried in binders. They would rather have you teaching, connecting, building up independence. So how are we going to break this cycle? Now that we've called out the problem, let's talk solutions. The first key here is to simplify. We don't need to be tracking everything, just the things that actually help your students grow. So step 1, focus on what matters most. What are the key goals for your students? Is it decoding? Is it learning to count to 10? Is it developing fine motor skills? Let's choose a few priorities, and for now, let the rest go. If it doesn't align with an IEP goal or directly impacts student success, I'm going to gently tell you it's not worth your time. So step 1 is to focus on what matters most. Step 2, use systems that work for you. Not work for me, not work for somebody on Instagram, but work for you. Now you can probably guess what I'm going to suggest. This is where independent work systems can do the heavy lifting for you. Using a system with task boxes or file folders or work binders can naturally create data opportunities as students are working through the tasks. Here's an example. Let's say you're using a task box to practice sorting skills. And instead of creating a separate data sheet, you can track progress right there. Did the student complete it independently? Did they need prompts? How is the accuracy? You can just write it down on a quick checklist and you're done. File folders are the same way. These tools are built to be low prep and they can double as data collection systems if you use them strategically. And work binders? Well, you're just collecting an organized set of work samples. This is all about working smarter, not harder. Quick recap. Step 1 to simplify and streamline your data collection was to focus only on what matters. And step 2 was to use systems that work for you. Now let's move ahead to step 3. Let's talk about simplifying your tools. If you're using more than 5 different spreadsheets, please stop. Pick one system and stick to it. It may be a single binder with simple checklists, or if you prefer digital, using Google Sheets or a classroom app. What about sticky notes? If you love sticky notes, but they're not loving you back and you're finding them here, there, and everywhere, here's a quick bonus tip. Record quick voice memos, especially if you don't have time to write something down. We're up to step 4 and the final step to streamlining your data collection system. Our first step was to focus on the goals that matter. Then we talked about using systems that work for you. Step 3 was simplifying your tools. And now step 4 is to set up a routine. Choose one day a week to review the data. Maybe it's on Fridays. You can quickly look over task box results, behavior notes, and progress towards IEP goals. If you're doing this once a week, realistically, how long do you think it will take you? 5 minutes? Maybe 10 minutes? And this also could count as the time you would be spending to prepare for next week. And here's the real truth. You don't need to be tracking every single thing. It's okay to say, this is good enough. Because the reality is, you're going to be seeing these weekly trends, and that matters so much more than perfection. Having that rough idea of progress is so much more useful than a binder full of these unused, hyper-detailed notes. I hope that you found those 4 steps useful, and this next part, please take with a grain of salt. I hope this serves as a quick pep talk, and I am saying this with 100% respect for what you are doing. Here goes. There's a very good chance you're doing too much. You're doing too much data collection, and it's not helping you or your students. We are trained to believe that more data equals better teaching, and it's just not true. What your students need isn't more documentation. It's more you. They need your attention, your creativity, your ability to guide them. So instead of asking yourself, what should I be tracking? What more can I track? Let's start asking, what can I stop tracking? Because I'm going to give you permission to let it go. Let go of the guilt. You're not a machine. You're a teacher. And your job isn't to drown in paperwork. It's to teach and to inspire and to make a difference. So here's your homework. Take a hard look at your current data collection system. If something is not helping you or your students, stop doing it. If it's not meaningful, let it go. And if someone pushes back on you, you didn't hear this from me, but feel free to blame me when you say, I'm streamlining to focus on student growth. I'm streamlining to focus on student growth. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. All right, that's it for today's episode. Maybe my last episode ever. We'll see. I hope you're feeling empowered to rethink your approach to data collection and to give yourself permission to do less. If you found this helpful, let me know. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways or your data collection struggles. Tag me on Instagram at Positively Learning and let's connect. And if you're looking for low prep tools that double as built-in data collection, check out the TaskBox Dollar Club. and its cousins, the File Folder and Work Binder Dollar Club. These are packed with hundreds of resources that are going to help you track progress without all the extra hassle. So you can find the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and remember, when it comes to data, less is more. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.